Video here at Frenchie's Forge. Today we're doing a knife build. We kind of traced this shape out. This is going to be just a little kind of a small dagger, one that you'll be able to carry around and use. And we are going to be making it out of a metal file. This is one that I think I got from a flea market or something. This one just says Mill Bastard on it.
Hey, watch your mouth!
And on the reverse side, it did not have a brand at all. The piece that I cut off of here before cutting through it completely, I left some and then used something to break it to see the grain. Might be hard to tell, but the grain does look good. So we know that we have a through hardened file here, and will be something that will make an excellent knife. Like I've said in the past, there's a couple different ways to go about making a file knife. One would be to pre-anneal the file so that you can then either forge it or grind in bevels, cut, drill, that sort of thing to get through the metal much easier since it's already hardened. The other way that doesn't require doing that is just to cut it out and drill it and shape it with it in its already hardened state. I tend to go for that one because I like the idea that it's already heat treated, and although it's a bit more of a pain or a chore to get through the metal, I tend to like that option because I know that the blade is hardened correctly, and all I'll have to really do is temper it until we reach a usable HRC, whatever we're shooting for, typically around 60 plus or minus a few. Now, before we get underway with this build, I had a question. If you're watching this video and you also make knives, I want to know what you use to put in small, tight radiuses here or anywhere on the knife. If this was a soft piece of steel, I probably wouldn't be asking the question. But because this is a hardened metal file, it makes it a little bit more difficult, especially with the tools that I have on hand, to put in a super tight radius. I don't have a small wheel attachment for a grinder or a small enough wheel to be able to do that, which really just leaves me with a couple of options: a rotary tool, a drill, and a drill press, but I don't have a whole lot of stuff to try to get that done. Here's a couple of the things that I have tried already. So here we're looking at I don't know exactly what this is. It's a toothed type deal. I'm not sure what it's made out of. It works super well on soft steel. It chews right through it, but barely phases hard steel. The next one is like a diamond coated type thing, and this does remove metal, but just takes forever, you know, and you can see that it doesn't hold up very well. It's pretty well fallen off of there. The next one is just regular sandpaper, and I feel like this would be a good one, except the sandpaper just doesn't hold up, and I honestly need a new bit. It doesn't stay on there very well. And then you've got like your typical stuff you'd find at your home improvement stores where it's like a Dremel bit. None of these options are great. So just kind of curious as to if you were going to be tackling this, cutting a little radius into an already hardened piece of metal, how would you do it? I don't have a mill. I don't have fancy bits, although I could get some bits. If you know of one that would do the job well, let me know in the comments down below. I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there. Hopefully there's somebody out there that can answer that question. Okay, so after some trial and error, we now have our radiuses cut into the blade. Radiuses, radii, radii, radio, radius, radii, I don't know. Go ask your English teacher. Radius, half moon, that's what I'm gonna call it. We got our half moons cut into our file, and yeah, there you go. Now that we got that done, we're ready to go back to profiling. I'm gonna be thinning these down as it goes up anyway, so, but to do that, we're gonna move back over to the 2x42 and do some profiling. This clip here is using a couple of torches, and I'm trying to heat it up and widen out the hole that I drilled in the back of the handle. The goal was to make a large enough hole to get a finger in to be able to pull it out of a sheath to make it easier. I'm using the torches and putting it over top of the horn and trying to pretty much widen the hole out. And it's not going really good. In theory, it was a good plan. The material just isn't moving like I'd hoped. This next clip here is me miming out that it didn't go good. Yeah, kind of weird. But hey, you know, trying something new. A little voiceover and mime action. Hey, he says it just might work. See that? Yeah, kind of weird. And yeah, so my next idea is to make like a punch or a drift. And so I'm using the angle grinder to try to create one that might help. And hopefully you like the voiceover style of video. Maybe you like to hear my voice like this. I don't know. Y'all like the voiceover? Let me know in the comments. Maybe y'all's like it. Maybe you don't. Let me know. All right then, bye-bye. All right, so taking a quick break on making this little punch or this drift to widen out this hole. I wanted to take a second and talk about what I just got in the mail. What you're looking at here is a small wheel attachment. It was 38 bucks, which is a steal. I bought it from a company called Dictator Grinders. I found this on eBay. They're all over the place. A lot of them are 50 bucks, 60 bucks. I saw quite a few for $100. They're all essentially the same thing. And if you get on eBay right now, you can find this one for 38 bucks, I think, plus shipping and tax all in. I was at $46 to get it to my door. And that is money well spent, in my opinion. If you're like me and you own this grinder and you're looking for more options, this is definitely a cool idea. It came with 5 different little wheels that you can easily pop in and out of there. To change these out takes like a second. They kind of have like a little magnetic hold to them. Let's take a look at this first wheel. This is the smallest wheel that it comes with, so 1/2-inch wheel. And then the next step up is the one that is currently on the machine. Let's take the belt off and take a look at what it is. So 0.625, so we're looking at roughly 5/8 of an inch. Let's go to the next one. So, 3/4 for the next one. And then it looks like 7/8 and an inch for the last one. So it does give you some pretty good variability from a 1/2 inch all the way up to an inch with several steps in between. And that is really pretty cool. This is going to come in handy for a lot of different things. Specifically, I bought it while I was trying to come up with different ideas on how to get these little radiuses put into the knife that we're working on. And I've wanted to buy one now for a while and just haven't pulled the trigger, but when I saw it online for the low price, I had to do it. Anyway, I just thought I'd talk a little bit about it. It really is cool. You can pretty easily get the belts on and off. Just like that. We're back on there, no problems. And let's go ahead and turn it on. You still have pretty good adjustment with it. So you can kind of still track it even up front here a little bit. You can turn the machine up quite a bit and it runs pretty smooth. And then the other thing I noticed too was turning it in the horizontal position could also be really handy, especially for working on a knife like this where I can just come up and look over top of it, and that works pretty well as well. So definitely handy. The other thing that I was looking at just this morning was the tool rest spot here. Now I have mine kind of sort of homemade set up here. So the one that it comes with is a little bit small, and I just kind of glued another piece onto this. But it does just barely fit on there and give you enough space to at least have something to rest your hands on. And with a little bit of playing around with this, you could probably modify it to your specific needs. So anyway, I know that was kind of a long bit in the video, but I thought it was pretty interesting. And what I suspect is that if you're watching my videos and you're into them, you're probably also a knife maker. And the whole point of my channel was to kind of share some of the different things that I come across that help the knife making process be more efficient, and thought this was a cool thing to share. Let's get back to tapering out this drift and getting that hole widened out. All right, so we just developed a bit of a crack in there, and got a little carried away and tried to hit it a little too hard. And unfortunately, I just did not have it hot enough. And that's what happens when you try to move metal that isn't hot enough. It tends to crack like that. So that kind of stinks, but it's not the end of the world. Probably can weld this up and hide it essentially and work around it. The drift idea, I feel like was a good idea. It still is a good idea. And if I were to just stick this whole back section of the blade into the forge and get the whole thing really good heat, I think that the drift idea would work for this. But because we have an already heat treated file, I'm trying to avoid having the heat run up into the blade so that I don't have to reheat treat it. So, you know, that's kind of what you have to deal with and the things that you have to think about to try to work around. And anyway, yeah, it's a problem for tomorrow. I'm really good at that. Just, you know, deal with it later. I kind of like that philosophy. So, anyway, let's forget that that happened. Yeah, sound good? Just move it off screen. There we go. So the next step is going to be working on putting in the bevels to the blade, and we'll worry about this thing another day. Probably tomorrow. Maybe not. We'll see. Yeah. All right. Cool beans. All right then. Next clip. Hit it. Next clip. Go.
Son.
All right. So, as you can see, we have the initial bevels ground in, and we've pretty much cut the 45s using this piece of angle iron and a couple of clamps just to hold it right at 90 degrees. And what I'm doing is I'm tilting the platen out, and right now it's probably as far as it'll go, which is 30 degrees. And so now at this point in time, I would normally get rid of the jig and start freehanding and bringing the bevels up. I'm going to try something different here. I'm going to try to, instead of doing that, I'm just going to move the platen back slightly so that it starts to dig in more towards the top up here, you know, like on this edge as opposed to this edge down here. So if we do that, it will hopefully start bringing the bevels up more while still maintaining the thickness of the edge. So it's still pretty beefy there. And we can, that will naturally thin out as we bring the bevel line up. So let's go ahead and make that adjustment and continue going. So hopefully that kind of helps illustrate the point. It may not look a whole lot. I just did one run, but I can tell that it's grinding up higher here. So naturally it's going to want to bring this line further back towards the middle of the blade. And I feel like doing it that way is pretty good. Using a piece of angle iron or a bevel jig of some sort is really good. It helps you keep things in line, and especially for something like a dagger where you've got 4 bevels and they're all real close and tight and they meet up at the tip, it's important to have them as straight as possible. You can tell on the end of this tip here, you know, that line is right in the middle, which is great. On this side, we're off to one side. The line is over this way. That just means that the last thing I ground was this side, and I just ground a little too much over here. So as we get to, you know, knocking both sides back on the dagger, that's kind of something you want to pay attention to, is keeping an eye on that center line and making sure that you're taking off the same amount on each side so that that line stays in the center, if that makes sense. So anyway, thought I would share that. Let's continue until we can get more of this ground down. All right, so there we go. We now have some really nice bevels put into our knife here, and it was actually, you know, pretty easy using the angle guide or bevel jig, whatever you want to call it. Using that system in the setup really does make a big difference on getting uniform bevels. So hopefully that tip helps somebody out there, especially if you're new to knife making and you're wondering how to get some decent looking bevels. That's a great place to start, using some sort of a jig. I also wanted to say that for my day job, I work at a company called Ozark Fence. They also do YouTube, and it's mainly about fence and the fence industry, but just recently posted a video about lighting and audio and recording for YouTube. What's better, an iPhone or a camera? You know, what type of lighting is going to produce the best shots? That sort of thing was kind of interesting to me. I'll try to maybe link the link in the video somewhere up here. If you're interested in checking it out, you could go show support to Ozark Fence. They support me by letting me work there. Thank you. And anyway, just thought it was a really cool video. The lights in here, sometimes I'm still kind of learning some of that. So if you watch my channel, I appreciate you being patient with my poor choices of lighting and angles. Definitely not a professional, but it is kind of cool to see the difference in between a lit up shot, something like this, versus turning the light off. And then you've got a lot of shadow and it just kind of all fades and nothing really pops out like having the right lighting. So anyway, I found it interesting. Maybe you would too. If you do, go check the video out. Time spent in profiling this thing out. I think we're set up pretty good for the next episode to go ahead and fix this, pick out the handle material, put it on, and sharpen this bad boy up and call it a done dagger. I am excited to continue working on this, and the next episode will be cool. We're gonna walk through all those processes and get to see what this thing looks like and how it performs at the end of that video. For the handle material, I have it kind of whittled down to 2 choices, but I'm going to try to do something cool with the front of the scales, putting a nice crisp like corner or diamond shape on the front, and I think that will give it a really cool look. It's something that I haven't done before on a knife and trying something new. So be sure and be on the lookout for that episode. Hopefully I'll have it posted here soon. Just wanted to say thanks to you if you're watching this far in the video. I really appreciate it. Consider subscribing if you're not subscribed. Like the video, comment, share. All that stuff really helps the channel out. I really appreciate it. Just last week, I hit the YouTube milestone of now being able to offer certain things like memberships and super chats, I think they're called. I don't really know a whole lot about it. I'm not a tech guy. I have a Facebook page. I don't ever get on Facebook. I don't do Snapchat or Instagram. I'm really not on social media really at all, except for YouTube. But I hopefully will learn as we go. So I have set up 3 different membership tiers. If you're watching this video, you like my channel, you like what we're doing here, and you want to become a member of the channel, that hopefully now is available. There's 3 different tiers. I have them quickly written out here. So tier number 1, I'm kind of an idiot. I call the names of the tiers are pretty dorky, so forgive that. They're pretty stupid. Take 2. The names of the tiers are super awesome. The first tier is Frenchie Fan. If you want to be a Frenchie fan, you pay $2 a month. Who doesn't have $2 a month to help support your Frenchie? That's right, to help support your Frenchie. The first awesome tier I have dubbed the Frenchie Fan. And if you're a fan of my channel and you want to become a member, $2 a month will gain you access to membership to the OG Frenchie. That money will help me invest in more stuff to continue making knives. Metal, tools, things like that. The tier will get you, what did I write down? It'll have your name in the video. So I was thinking of doing like a members section in each video where like the intro into the video, I'll have your name up there. That'd be pretty cool. Priority comments. So, you know, making sure that I stay connected with the members, especially if they have questions or comments or stuff like that, to get back to them. Loyalty badges. That I have no idea what it is, but that is something, and we'll figure it out together. Tier number 2, we'll just run through these real quick. Frenchie's friend, or a Frenchie friend. Lame. But if you want to be my friend for $10 a month, then I'll have you. By golly. And Frenchie friend is a member shoutouts and member polls. So a member shout out would be if, you know, you are a knife maker and you would like me to shout out your name or your channel, then I would be more than willing to do that. We could talk about even some of the stuff that you're working on, that sort of thing. Member polls, that one is like I'd be doing polls on the page, and it was meant for like direction as to where the channel goes. And that would be a member exclusive perk. That way you could help decide kind of the flow of the channel, what I, you know, move towards, what I stay away from, kind of help shape the content that I create. And the last one, you'd have to be a complete psycho to do this one, a Frenchie fanatic. I doubt I'll have too many of those. Hey, you never know. Maybe you're fanatic about the OG Frenchie and what we're doing here, It's me, what I'm doing here. Maybe, just maybe, you'll be a weird creeper dude. But that's okay. Hey man, if you're a weird creeper dude, just give me $25 and we'll talk about proper etiquette, social media etiquette. We'll be friends from a distance. Anyway, that was kind of weird, sorry. Frenchie Fanatic at $25 a month. What does $25 get you? It gets you all the first 2 tiers plus member shout outs. And that would be more in depth into maybe doing a collaboration with another channel, that sort of thing, and virtual video collab. I thought this one was really cool. This one would get you, like, let's say a phone call, maybe once a month, where you could call me and we could talk about knife stuff. Maybe you have questions. Maybe you want to do a Zoom call and see the shop. Maybe you want to talk about specific steps in knife making. I am by no means a knife making guru, but I have been doing it for almost a year now, and I've picked up quite a few tips and tricks. I do try to share most of those that I do have on videos, but I thought it would be a cool thing as a member to be able to communicate better with someone who is interested in what I'm doing here. Anyway, hopefully that is a good explanation of what this is about. Like I said, it's kind of new to me, and I'm not 100% sure how it's all going to work and play out, but we'll figure it out along the way. Thanks again for sticking around to the end of the video. Much appreciated, and hopefully we'll see you again on the next episode where we're going to be turning this into a sickening dagger. Best outro ever. Peace.